Hey everyone, Joel here from Life in Nica. Thanks for checking out this video on building a home in Nicaragua. In this episode, I'm going to cover the essentials about what it's like constructing here in Nica. That's like using a builder, location planning, costs of building, what materials to use, as well as overall strategy, including taxes and the potential use of a corporation. So the topic of building is coming up more in Nicaragua at the moment right now. And part of that is related to high levels of demand for certain types of properties. There are lots of people looking to get out of Canada and the US right now, and Nicaragua is a popular option. And what that means is that plenty of homes that are desirable to foreigners are selling right now. And the quality of homes, the quality homes, if priced well, are selling quickly. So what that means is if you're looking for something in particular or in certain locations, building may be a good option for you just to widen your range of options. And something to note is that design in Nicaragua has improved dramatically in the last 5 or 10 years, meaning some 10-year-old homes may feel 20 years old from a design standpoint. Now, that's not every property, but definitely a solid percentage of older homes feel more dated, and even if they're well maintained and in good condition. For example, stylistic choices that finished in the early 90s in the US might still have been in fashion here into the 2000s. So what this means is, like I said, there's only so many options if you want to buy an existing home with a modern design, and that's especially true if you're looking for larger lots or you want to be close to the beaches outside of San Juan del Sur. So if you have a particular dream home in mind, or want an acreage, or want to be closer to one of those out-of-town buildings, then you can consider building. So the first big point to consider is building on your own versus hiring a builder. And if I could give one piece of advice about building on your own, unless you do it in your home country, it'd be one word: don't. Building here seems like it'd be easy and cheap given the low cost of labor, and that's partially true, but the low labor cost, that trade-off for that is the skill and consistency of those tradesmen and workers varies dramatically. There's no common apprenticeship program for electricians, plumbers, masonry workers, carpenters, etc. So the best builders will have sifted through that available talent pool and retain those premier workers and project managers. Now, you can put those talented craftsmen to work more easily by working directly with a builder. And even if you have experience in your home country, I would recommend, at a minimum, consulting with a professional here and or hiring a general contractor. It'll probably end up saving you money in the long run, and it just seems way easier for people to do it that way. There are a lot more variables in play when you're building a home here in Nicaragua as opposed to Canada or the States, so anything you can do to make that easier for you, I totally recommend. Next up is, what do you need to think about when choosing a builder? So selecting a great builder is probably the most essential component in the success of your project. Excellent builders will deliver on their promises, their prices, timeline, and then your dream, right? While a bad builder can turn it into a nightmare. And most often, we find anyways, the cheaper builders will cost you more in the end. So I personally work with the premier builders in the country, the best ones. So if you're a real estate client of mine, I connect you with those as part of my real estate services, right? If you get a lot, I'll connect you with the best builders. And as always, you can contact me if you want help finding a property for any of that. And in addition, if you already have your property or just looking for a builder or just want to chat and see what's right for you, you want to weigh those options, offer those consulting services as well to help you get successfully involved in Nicaragua. And you can check that out on the consulting tab on the page if you're looking for more on that. So next up is location choice and planning. Where do you want to build your new home? As I mentioned in the article that goes with this video, the southern Pacific coast is the most popular with foreigners. That would be San Juan del Sur, Tola area, this section of beaches. It's beautiful, popular with foreigners already, followed by Granada. Now, they're the most desirable for a number of reasons. They've got amenities, resources, an expat community, beautiful beaches, all those things, right? And the region that you choose makes a difference when it comes to cost and build quality for your project. So, like I said, the southern Pacific coastal region where I'm at is more expensive than other parts of the country. Land values are higher because demand is greater from both foreigners and wealthy Nicaraguans. People always want to live in beautiful places, so that drives the demand up for land. Also, materials need to travel a little farther here, for example, to San Juan del Sur than Managua. It's about a 2.5 hour drive compared to somewhere like Managua, which is 1. So that transport distance adds a little bit to the cost. So As mentioned, if you choose to build your own home, you've got a wider range of options on where you can build, right? For example, I love Playa Remanso, which is the closest surfing beach to San Juan del Sur, but there aren't many great existing homes for sale there. And the same goes for the areas around Playa Medeiros, Playa Yankee, and Escamiquita. All of those are great beaches, but there aren't many existing homes there yet. And when they do pop up for sale at good prices, they tend to sell quickly. So if you see one that you like there at a great price, you might want to jump on it, or we may need to help you build. Also, like I said, if you're looking for homes on larger lots or acreages, your existing home options may be somewhat limited. The majority of building lots in planned communities in the San Juan del Sur area are on the small to medium end of the spectrum. Typically a quarter acre, 1,100 square meters or less, some of them like 500 square meters. So if you're looking more like an acre or 2 or 10, you might need to build. Now, one example of acreages, areas that I really like, is Big Sky Ranch. It's a phenomenal spot if you want from half an acre to 2 or a little more, and more of like the semi-rural horse acreage type of property. So you can choose the site you want to build on and then build that home to your specifications. And it's the best way to get that dream home that you want if you can't find it already existing here on the market. So, all right, on to the big question. How much does it cost here to build in Nicaragua? Most of my clients are looking for high quality homes. And in this region of Nicaragua, building costs for something to a North American standard, built by the builders I recommend, start around $100 a square foot. Now, for that price, you'll get granite countertops, tile floors, recessed lighting, aluminum windows, metal railings on balconies, and you'll get high quality but not the absolute top shelf fixed finishings and fixtures like, toilet and kitchen and bath accessories. So they'll be good but not the top. Then, for $120 a square foot, you'll get a lot more luxury. That extra 20% would move you up to vinyl windows, high-end quartz countertops, glass railings on the balconies, more arched windows and doors, more choices on imported tiles, top-end fixtures, fittings, and then cabinetry. I will say one caveat to that is that the accessibility of the chosen location and the slope of the land have a big factor in that cost. That $100 square foot starting point would be on a flat or gently sloping building lot. If you're cutting into the land or building retaining walls, that can add 10 to 30% to the overall cost, so bear that in mind. A cheap lot that drops straight off a cliff is going to be more difficult to build on and more expensive than a nice flat or gently sloping lot. Makes sense, right? And the same goes for lots with challenging access. For example, if you're buying a hilltop property where you have trucks having trouble get up and workers need to manually move more materials, that's also going to add to the cost. Any additional preparation involved in getting that building pad ready correspondingly adds to the price. So those are just things to consider. Now, comparing it to like local builders, if they tell you they can build for $60 or $80 a square foot, they may be able to do it, but it's likely going to be one of two things: either a local style build with not being a good connotation, or poor materials into a standard that you probably won't like coming from North America. So there's a reason why I don't recommend builders like that, and my clients generally prefer North American standard homes. And like I said, looking for that, looking around $100 and up a square foot. Water and power access are also important considerations, and they're not necessarily included in that build price. For example, if you need to drill a well, add a septic system, run power lines, or install a solar system, all that needs to be factored in too. And those are things that people sometimes don't think about when they're choosing a lot to build on. This is where those gated communities can be a little better. Most gated communities with those homeowners associations in the San Juan del Sur area have water and power directly to the property line. Those HOAs also take care of road maintenance inside the community, and those things minimize your upfront building expense. And plus, they usually have a guard at the front gate for a little bit of extra home security. And in general, the $50 to $100 in monthly HOA fees for those communities is worth it for a lot of people. It might not be for you, but you can weigh those aspects. As for sewer systems, properties in town and very close to it may be connected to the city septic system, but the gated planned communities and country properties will likely not be connected, and they're going to need a septic. Now, that can be a few $1,000s depending on the home, number of bathrooms, and projected occupancy level over time that you're thinking for, right? A septic system for a 2-bedroom home is going to be different than a 5-bedroom one that you're renting all the time. So, next thing to consider that I like to talk to people about is just using a corporation, and it's more of a side note, but it's useful information if you do plan on building. So if you choose to build, for a lot of people it's better to place that lot into a Nicaraguan corporation on the date of purchase. I have another article and video about buying property here and the taxes and how they apply and all the closing costs. So those closing costs are tiered and they increase in percentage as the value of the property goes up. So if you purchase a building lot for like 50 grand, total closing costs might be like 5%, not bad. But when selling in the future, the transfer taxes, closing costs, all that, payable by the person buying your property would be a higher rate at a higher value. So, maybe 7 or 8% at 250 grand for your house. But if you put the property in a corporation from the beginning, it's going to make it more attractive to a potential buyer. Basically, the buyer just purchases all the shares, which that company holds the property, and they'd only pay 1 or 1.5% in legal costs. There's other benefits to a corporation too. It makes it easier to get residency if you put your property in a corporation. You can own and register a vehicle, so same thing, your corporation will own the vehicle. Since you own the corp, therefore you own the vehicle. And for more information on all those things, you can check it out over the site at lifeandnica.com. So now, what does the process look like if you decide to build? Okay, this situation, great, we found your lot, maybe set it up in a corporation, we've connected you with a builder, and we're ready to construct your home in Nicaragua. The great builders I work with generally have architects on staff who can help design that home. I can also recommend some really good third-party architects if you have something super unique in mind. And the builder and architect will work together with you to plan the design for your home on the property you purchase. When that design is complete and a plan for construction is prepared, then you're ready to make the first payment to the builder. Now, here in Nicaragua, the builder is going to handle all the permits, and those are generally more straightforward and easier to get than Canada or the US. Now, as long as it meets building code and the rules of the HOA, if any applicable, it's easy for your builder to secure those permits. Realistically, the only major limit that most people find is you can only build up to 3 stories with a standard permit. But most residential homes, you're not going over 3 stories anyways. Now, most builders here work on a payment schedule based on the progress of the build. So once you've approved the building plan and are ready to go, the first 50% of funds are deposited with the builder. That's because at this stage, the builder will begin site preparation, the earth movement, and purchase all of the major materials. Now, when the roof is on, the next payment of 30% is usually made. Again, this gives the builder the resources to move on to things like windows, doors, kitchens, and bathrooms. Now, when lights and fixtures and all the small things are ready to go in, the final 10% is paid to the builder. And your final 10% is when you when you get the keys handed over, welcome to your new home. Now, in terms of a timeline, a great builder can finish an 1,800 square foot home with 3 bedrooms in about 6 months. A lesser builder might take a year, come in over budget, and have more deficiencies to fix in the future. Like a lot of things in life, it's better just to do things right the first time. Okay, now let's talk about building materials. Here in Nicaragua, poured concrete foundations are the norm, and basements are basically non-existent. It's just not common here. Concrete block walls with concrete and rebar reinforced framing is the most common building technique. They're familiar with it. Construction workers are generally more competent with it as well. Steel framing is another option, and usually that combines with Durock exterior cement panels covered with mesh and stucco. It's a faster, lighter building method than concrete. It's less expensive. It's lighter weight, so that means it's less robust, expensive foundations need to be built as well. And if done right, it's a good choice, although it's less durable than cement block for obvious reasons. And you got to take care with moisture and that airspace is in the walls. Nicaragua is a tropical country after all. Now, another option with that steel framing is to combine it with structural foam panels, also covered with mesh and stucco. Like that Durock, it provides the same appearance as concrete, and that system has its own benefits and drawbacks. It's got better insulating properties. There's no airspace in the wall. It's also lightweight, so foundations must also bear less. And like the Durock, it takes slightly less time to build, and then provides a slight savings on the labor portion of construction costs. Now, the downside of the steel frame with structural foam panels and stucco is it really needs to be built properly. There's more variability and risk of future problems if it's not done so. Like Durock, it's not as durable as concrete. The walls can be dinged up more easily. Think of nicking up drywall versus concrete block, right? Harder to do. As for wood, a good builder will never ever use timber framing inside the walls. Climatic conditions here and insects would make that a bad choice. But exposed hardwood accents can be beautiful and structurally sound, and they'll last forever. For example, exposed hardwood pillars and inside the roof can be both beautiful and extremely durable, and those are popular choices here. A number of local hardwoods are extremely insect resistant, and the only side note, which is a positive from an environmental standpoint, is that the harvesting of those hardwoods is now much more regulated. So you can still get them, all those different hardwoods, they just cost a little more than they do before. As for roofing, metal roofing is almost exclusively used here, and you will see a lot of the Spanish tiles used on top of that, and that's for a combination of style and installation. So the metal roofing provides the waterproof barrier, while the tile on top absorbs the sun rays without radiating them to the inside of the home. Now, for flooring, tile or polished concrete is the way to go. Carpet, obviously a bad idea given the climate and humidity. And even hardwood floors, I don't like as much, maybe some accents, but not for high traffic areas. Again, for durability and ease of cleaning, most people choose tile or concrete. All right, now time to talk about furniture and fixtures. For locally crafted hardwood furniture, Simplemente Madera and Messiah & Company are amazing. They offer some stunning, handcrafted, tropical hardwood furniture, and the prices are like a fraction of what they would be if you were buying them in the US. Now, in terms of fixtures, other furnishings, and generally outfitting your house, there are a ton of stores in Managua. We got all the big boxes that are present in Central America. You got C-Man, PriceMart, which is a Costco subsidiary, Cinsa, think like Home Depot, are your bigger box options. However, those stores can be somewhat expensive. Between the shipping, most items go to like the US and then, from China and then bounce down here. And the import taxes, it's not as cheap as just like popping into Lowe's or something like that, right? However, one of the builders that I work with has an amazing solution for this. So he's got a side business where you can ship products down from the US. So basically how it works is you order products directly off of Amazon, you send to his warehouse in Miami, and they arrive here in Nicaragua a few weeks later. Now, he charges a moderate fee for that service, and it's usually still significantly cheaper than buying a lot of those goods here. For that would be things like kitchen and bathroom fixtures, fans, electronics, anything like that. So imported goods like that, technological stuff in Nicaragua can actually be a little more expensive, and then labor is obviously a lot cheaper. And I can connect you with him if you're a real estate client of mine, or even just a consulting client. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about buying, investing, or building here in Nicaragua, don't hesitate to contact me. Have a great day. Bye for now.